So let's start. A very warm welcome, friends. And this topic is very close to my heart on how do we solve business problems using analytical skills. You know, this is something that I learned towards later part of my career, to be honest, not in the initial part of my career. And I wish someone would have encouraged me, guided me, trained me to get into analytics in initial part of my career. Initial part of my career, I was doing a lot of hard work. And later part of my career, I realized that I think we have to do a little different. Yeah. Before we begin, friend, I'll just take this opportunity, 120 seconds, to just give you a quick introduction about what we do at Protouch, about the organization and a little bit about myself. And then we straight jump on to today's topic and discuss that more in detail. Yeah. Just give me a second. So friends, for all those who don't know me, many of you know me. For those who don't, my name is Rahul Sethi. I am one of the directors at Protouch. I am an instructor at International Association for Business Analytics Certification. I'm a coach. I'm a Marshall Goldsmith leadership coach. I'm ICF ACC. I'm also associate coach at Global Coach Group from Netherlands. I'm a corporate trainer, NLP practitioner, and recently I was listed amongst the top 200 global thought leaders. I've been working with various organizations over the last 23 years. I've been associated with Airtel, Vodafone, Revigo, and Hutch. I'm extremely lucky and privileged to be working alongside some of the great leaders, and a few of them happens to be with us today on this webinar as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. A little bit about Protouch. We are one of the most admired and upcoming talent transformation and reskilling organization. We are enabling business and organizational cultural impact. Our mission is very simple. How do we bring in business productivity and enhance leadership development across organization? How do we do it? We provide 360-degree training solutions, right from entry level to senior management. We impact highly engaging professional training in various fields. We started with HR and now diversified into various fields of professionals and aspiring professionals. All our training programs have a very clear focus on results while developing holistic learning for our participants. At Protouch Professional Training, where most of you are associated with, we provide skill enhancement and youth employability in various domains. Hundreds of participants every year accelerate their career by taking one of our certification programs. And I'm extremely happy to share that over the last 1 year, we were unfortunately hit by pandemic, but over 500 professionals have brought their career back on track, and many of our alums are now contributing into growth of various large organizations. These are some of our programs, and we'll talk about them a little more as we go along. These are our global accreditations. Over the last 1 year, we have got some amazing accreditation from global certification bodies like SHRM, HRCI, IBAC, and ACC. And this also show our dedication and commitment to provide world-class education and training to our participants. Every program that we introduce are certified by any of these great, at least one of these great bodies. We have also expanded our knowledge partnerships through various premium business schools around the world, and it continues to grow by every passing month. Learning sessions, the way we are doing today, we have been consistently doing over the last couple of years, and these are some of the great leaders across the world who have come and engaged with our participant and helped them enhance their industry expertise. These are some of the organization our alums are working with, and I'm so grateful to them, and I'm so proud of the, that they're doing so well, and I'm also so thankful to these organizations to have given our participant great opportunity. So that's a bit about ProTouch. Now we will straight jump on to our today's topic. That is, how do we solve business problem using analytical skills? So before that, if you can just quickly put in the chat box, which city are you from, so that we kind of get to know each other. If you can just quickly put in the chat box, which city are you from, it will be very useful. I am from Gurgaon, Kolkata, Faridabad. Thanks, Shweta. Vasi is from Pune, of course. We have participation from Nepal, Ratlam, Bangalore, Nanded, Ajmer, wow, Chennai, Indore, Bhopal, Jhansi. Thank you. Coimbatore, Divya is from Coimbatore. Thank you, Divya. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. From Dhaka, Bangladesh, Sheikh Hassan, thank you. Welcome to the webinar. Amravati, Andhra Pradesh. Thank you. I think it's a great set for a collective learning. I'm so glad that you could join. I'm sure you all had a choice. You could be doing something else today. Yeah. But you have taken out time to be part of this webinar. Thank you so much. And I'll promise you that you will learn something worthwhile today. Yeah. All right. So how many of you, it's your first webinar with ProTouch? Just write first in the chat box. For how many of you, it's the first webinar? Priyanka is your first, Nisha is your first. Okay, thank you. All right, so quite a few. Ekta Agrawal, thank you. Okay, many of you as first webinar, and many of you, we have interacted earlier. Okay, so let's begin with my first favorite question. What is our worth in this world? What is our worth? And people have attended my webinars earlier, it should not be too difficult. What is our worth? Just put in the chat box. Let me just use another system for the chat so that I can manage it much better. Just give me a second. Okay, our worth is problem solving capabilities, or Mohit is saying to be productive. That's great. Sunita is saying for solving problems. Rajesh is saying knowledge. Thanks, Rajesh. So let me give you one golden rule that I have learned over the last 23 years of my working. Our worth is equal to complexity of problem one can solve. If we can solve a problem, that's your worth. Whenever we are not well, we go to a doctor because he can solve a problem. Sometimes we don't even know whether he is qualified doctor also or not. All we know is that person can solve a problem. If we need electrician, what do we ask our friends and family? Can you recommend me a good electrician? How many times you have actually said that, can you recommend me an electrician who is highly skilled, possibly a rank holder from ITI, having 10 years experience? No. All we care for is, can that person solve a problem? You could be a gold medalist from IIT Delhi, but if you can't solve my problem, you're worth nothing, And if you can solve a problem, people really don't care what's your background, where you come from, what's your experience. All people care in today's world is, can you solve a problem? And of course, we all can. Just give me a second. Of course, we all can solve some problem or the other, isn't it? And every day we keep doing that. Every single day, every single moment. You look around today, reflect back today, you would have solved few problems. Yeah? Our worth, if we want to increase our worth, we have to increase our capability to solve complex problems. The more complex problem one can solve, the better is our worth. If we all can solve problem for ourselves, We are individual contributors. If you can solve problem for your team, you can be a just put in the chat box. If you can solve problem for your team, you can be a
team leader.
Absolutely. We can be a team leader if we can solve problem for a team. We can be a captain of a team. We can be a team leader. We can lead a team. Absolutely. And if we can solve problem for our department, we can be a department head, isn't it? If we can solve problem for our company, if we can solve problem for our company,
Analyst.
we can be a
Analyst.
A CEO.
We can be a CEO. Absolutely. We can be a CEO. If we can solve problem for a company, we can be a CEO. And if we can solve problem for the country,
Prime Minister.
yeah, we can lead a country. We can be a prime minister. And always, always remember that our worth is to the complexity of problem we can solve. If we can solve problem, we are celebratory. If we cannot, we almost lose our existence. I'm not making any political statement. I'm not a big fan of any political party, but I'm just to give you example. The same prime minister who's criticized today was celebrated last year. Everywhere it was, Wah Modi ji, wah. Yeah. All of a sudden, if you cannot solve a problem that a country is facing with, people will dump you. People will start criticizing you. People will start questioning you. Kapil, just check your marker, please. Thank you. Yeah, isn't it? Sachin Tendulkar, the best cricketer the world has ever seen. As soon as he became a captain, he could not solve team's problem, and all of a sudden he was struggling, isn't it? Always remember, if you want to increase your worth, we have to increase our competence to solve complex problems. Now, how do we solve problems? That's the next question. How do we solve problems? What is the biggest element? Just put in the chat box. How do we solve problems? What are the key factors that goes into solving any problem? Decisions, okay? Experience.
Root of the problem.
Root cause, absolutely. Root cause. Identifying the reason is what Riazul is saying on the chat. They say decision making, analyzing it properly, great. Identifying the problem itself, identifying, analyze. Yeah, identifying the real problem itself, understand the problem. Yeah, absolutely. All of you are saying the same thing. Defining the problem, analyzing, decision making, data, taking some actions. Some of you may feel taking some action will solve a problem. Evaluating all the options. RCA was saying, absolutely. What's the biggest element? We can do all of this. What's the biggest amongst all this? Broadly thinking, absolutely. Thanks for sharing. What's the biggest element? How many times it has happened that you have endlessly analyzing, endlessly evaluating the option, endlessly thinking about action, but not able to take action. Spending so much of time, you have actually understood the problem, but the problem is not getting solved. You know why? What's the biggest element? We can keep evaluating endlessly. The biggest element in this is making a decision. And this is where great problem solvers distinguish themselves from an average problem solvers. If you want to be a great problem solver, you need to increase your capability of making a decision. Yeah. And how do we make decisions? What goes into making any decision? How do we make decisions?
We take action.
By past experience, we can take actions. By analysis, based on our experience and facts.
Understanding the problem.
Understanding the problem, that's right. What's the biggest obstacle in making a decision? When was the last time you hesitated in making a decision? When was the last time you delayed a decision? When was the last time you just could not make a decision? Just think about that situation. Why does it happen? Ritu, absolutely right. Fear of getting it right. Big round of applause. I think she nailed it. Because decision may, Anjay is also making the same point, because the decision may go wrong. And every decision has that risk of going wrong. There is no decision on this earth which has no risk of going wrong. Every single decision, Ekta is making a great point, being judged. Being judged for what? Being judged for making a wrong decision. Again, isn't it? Isn't it, Ekta? And if we are able to, and what can help us increase that decision-making capability? All of you said the same thing, experience, intuition. Intuition, no one said, but intuition is a great way of making a decision. Knowledge, discussions, analysis. What can increase our capability of making a decision? You have all decided to come to this webinar. If I would have told you, if you come to this webinar, the chances that you will you will get something new is 90%. You would have, you're looking forward to it. But at the same time, if I say that the chances that you will not get anything meaningful from this webinar, chances that you will get something meaningful is only 10%. Many of you would have not come. What I have changed in this, I have just put a number. I've just given you the probability of success, 90% or 10%, 50% or 70%. And as soon as someone gives you the possibility of how much probable it is to go right, your confidence level or your capability to make a better decision increases, isn't it? Are you with me? Are you agreeing to this? Yeah. If you put a number to that decision, your ability to make a better decision increases. You're able to make a decision instantly because now you know how probable it is to succeed, or how probable it is not to succeed. And the one definite way of doing that is analytics. One definite way of putting a probability to a decision, probability to a risk, probability to a success is analytics. Are you with me, friends? Are you able to relate to this? Now, what I'm going to discuss with you is what is analytics. Analytics is all about collecting data, processing data, and drawing insights from data. Collecting data, processing data, and drawing insights from data. Now, the question is, what is data? You may have a question, what is data? Anyway, we talk about data day in and day out. Every single moment we talk about data in all our organization. But what is data? Facts, absolutely, Pooja. It is a factual information that can be stored and used at a later stage. Absolutely. It is records. It's a factual information that can be stored. A lot of people come to me and ask me, Rahul, what does it take to be good in analytics? Do I need coding language? Do I understand coding? I'm not good at numbers. Can I do it? And all of these things we will try to answer towards the end of this program. But to me, if you want to be good in analytics, these are the three things that you want to know. One is you need to have a domain knowledge for which you are trying to solve a problem. If you don't have a domain knowledge, it's very difficult. If you want to be good in HR analytics, you need to understand HR. If you want to be good in business problem solving, then you need to be good at business. If you want to be good in marketing analytics, you need to be good in marketing. Yeah. You need the domain knowledge. I am not saying expertise. A lot of people think that if I want to be good in HR analytics, I want to be expert in HR. No, you need not to be good in expert of business. You need not to be expert of HR. You need not to be expert of marketing. You need not to be expert of sales. You need knowledge of that domain. And that's the reason specifically I've written domain knowledge. Knowledge can be gained through learning, maybe watching YouTube videos. Knowledge can be gained. Knowledge is free, let me tell you, friends. Knowledge can be gained. If you have knowledge, you can be good in analytics. Second is you need step-by-step approach. You need step-by-step approach to solving a problem. And you also need knowledge of some analytical tools. You need knowledge of some analytical tools. One of that tools I am going to teach you today. How many of you in the group today, in the webinar, want to learn a new tool? If you have attended my last program, you would have learned one tool which I taught you about t-test. How many of you want to learn another tool today? Yeah? Just put in the chat box me if you want to learn a new tool today. I'm going to teach you one tool of analytics that you can use in any domain. I've just picked up one tool from our analytics program that I'm going to talk about today. There are a few hands that are getting raised. Let me take those questions. Surbi and Palak, okay, raise hand when you want to learn or you have a question.
No, raised hand because I want to learn a new tool.
All right, thanks, Palak.
Learning.
All right, thank you. If you have a question, you can just raise your hand or put in the chat box. I would be happy to address them. Okay. Before we get into tool, a lot of people are not able to solve problem because they're not able to structure. And someone actually put in the chat box also that what is a structure of solving a problem? Because solving a problem is a structured process. It's a structured step-by-step approach that guarantees, almost guarantees solving any business problem. How many people you know, more often than not, come up with a great solution? You will see great entrepreneurs, great business leaders. You will see more often than not, they're able to solve great problems. Why? It is not that they're super smart. They are. Many of them have not done a professional college. They have never gone to a college, but still able to run multi-million-dollar enterprise. How? Because they have cracked a step-by-step method of solving a business problem. To me, any problem solving, this is I've created for myself from a lot of research. To me, any problem solving is a step-by-step process. And these are 8 steps to me to solve any problem. First step is to understand the problem. And many of you have actually written in the chat box saying understanding a business problem is very critical. And this itself is very tough for many of us. How do you really understand a business problem? Second is collecting the required information that will lead to solving that problem. Then once you collect that information, we have to prepare that data. We have to prepare that information so that analytics can be performed. Because many a times when we collect information, it will be full of impurities, full of corruption, full of errors. We have to correct that. If you don't correct it, as I say, that you can be running very, very fast in the wrong direction. So you have to be sure that you're running in the right direction. Then there are 3 stages of analytics, that is descriptive, inferential, and predictive. And I will just give you a little bit glimpse of that over the next 5 minutes. Then the most important step, number 7, decision modeling. From various decisions that you can take, what is the most appropriate decision with respect to the problem that is in your hand? And once the decision is taken, how do you measure? Because analytics is a process. It is not a project. It is not a project that you do it once and it will give you great results. It is a process. It is like working out in a gym. You won't build a great body in one day. It is like learning swimming. You will not be a great swimmer in one day. It is a continuous process, day after day, week after week, month after month, and that is how you perfect this. Same goes with analytics. It perfects over a period of time. A lot of time we believe that let's run it like a project and we will get great results. We will never will. We have to keep measuring the impact, modifying our options, modifying our decision so that we get better at it. How many are able to relate to it? When was the last time you learned a skill in one day? When was the last time you learned a new skill in just one day? You never will. You never will. How many of you learned cycling in one day? How many of you learned swimming in one day? How many of you learned driving a car in one day. How, you never will. You may start it in one day, but you will perfect it over a period of time. But when you're raising a hand, you have a question? Pawan Kumar, you have a question to ask? All right. So these are the 8 stages. These are the 8 stages of solving any problem. Now, what we are going to do today, I'm picking up one analytical tool from the stage number 5, which is inferential analytics. I'm picking up one tool from this particular stage, and I'm going to discuss that with you. That tool you can use in many situations. Zainab, if you can just mute, please. Thank you. Now, this tool is called chi-square test. Let me tell you in which situations you have to use it. How many of you in the group have the knowledge of chi-square test? Done it in past, in college, in school, in your work environment? Anyone? It's a very interesting tool. Very, very interesting test. Okay. So let me tell you in which situations you use this. There are 2 kinds of data. One is called numerical data and other is called categorical data. And we are not getting into too much detail into this, but numerical data is where we have numbers and categorical data is where we have categories. For example, gender, male, female, others is a category. That is called as categorical variable. Department, sales, marketing, finance, HR, they are categories. And hence it is called as categorical variable. Performance rating, rating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you put them into categories, categorical data. Location, all of us are from different cities, categorical data. We are from different countries, categorical data. Yeah. Whenever you're dealing with categorical data, chi-square test is very important tool to use. So let me show you one case study, and it's an HR related case study, but it can be used in a non-HR environment as well. But before I get into that, so let's jump and then come back to the stages of analytics towards the end of this. I would encourage you to run past through this caselet. This is a performance rating bias. How many are HR professionals on the webinar today? How many of HR professionals? Just write me in the chat box. Write in the chat box if you're from HR. You will be able to relate to this. How many are from HR background? Just put in the chat box. A lot of you from HR. Thank you. A lot of you from HR. And if you are an HR practitioner, thank you. Thanks for sharing. If you are HR professional or an employee, this is one scenario you would have definitely come across either as an employee or as a HR professional. How many of you have heard this word called as my company's performance management system is biased? Just write I in the chat box. Either you have said it or heard it or faced that problem. My company's performance management system is biased. Yeah, my company's performance management. If you are in HR, you have always, or if you're even an employee, you would have definitely come across. This company only favors HR salespeople. This company only favors finance people. Finance department always get better rating. Marketing guys only get better salary rates. Yeah, always we go through this. And if you are in HR, you will have to solve this problem every single time. On that note, I will welcome you to read this case later. And then we'll solve this case. You are the HR manager of ABC Limited. You have recently concluded the performance appraisal cycle for the financial year 2021 for your organization. The management approaches you on the increasing grapevine of rating bias throughout the organization. Yeah? Every time the appraisal cycle will finish, this will start. It is affecting the productivity and efficiency of the organization. Through your interaction with few employees, you realized that employees feel that bigger teams are favored during appraisal cycle compared to smaller groups. Few employees also expressed that it is impacting productivity and also increasing stress among employees. Your CEO has approached you to understand rating bias and present your point of view in the next management meeting. Yeah. Interesting case. You like this case? Everyone is able to, I'm sure 99% people who are able to relate to this case are on this webinar today. Yeah. Okay. So you know how to understand this problem better? Whether there is a bias or no bias. Whether there is a bias or no bias, statistically. Bias or no bias. So let me bring a little data point in front of you. And before, till the time I'm pulling up this data out, just give me a second. Towards the end of this webinar, I have a gift for you. How many people like gift here? Just say I in the chat box if you like gifts. Towards the end of this program, I'm going to give you a gift. Vasily likes gift. I know, Vasily, we work together. You really love gifts. So you all get a gift towards the end of this program. Okay, let's look at this data. Now let me explain you what this data is. This is the data of an organization, and this is a real case I pulled out from our analytics program that will, that we are going to solve today in this session. I'm not going to give you, not getting into complete detail of it, because generally these cases, we first do deliberation, find insights, draw out data. So that's a long process. We generally take 2-3 hours, but I will only focus our attention towards one particular test that I'm going to show you, which is called as chi-square test. This is information you as a HR has pulled out from your team to figure out whether there is a bias or not in the rating system. This is a data that how your employees are spread out for each department. So there are 7 departments in the organization: sales, marketing, production, finance, human resource, customer service, and supply chain. These are 7 departments. Employees in these 7 departments are rated on 5-point scale. They're rated at level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, which are there in columns. So what we have, the information is there are 7 departments and 5 ratings. There are total 1,612 employees in the organization. And depending on the ratings that they have got this year, this is the split of how they are stacked, all totaling to 1,612 employees in the organization. And this is how they're split. Okay. And once you are trying to analyze this data, what's the most logical thing you will do? People from HR, what's the first thing that you're going to do? Looking at this data, because obviously this data in it itself does not make any sense. So you'll do something. What will you do? Some suggestions. How will you analyze this data further? data validation or filters. Very good. We can put filters using filters and pivot table. So it's already in the form of a pivot table. It is segregated by departments and by level. So the raw data has been, I used a pivot only from the raw data and put them into tabulated by department and by level. Yeah, Ruchika, we have done the pivot table, and this is the result of pivot table. I'll just, raw data, put them. So because pivot table is a great tool where it will tabulate it in the way you want. I've tabulated it by departments and by levels because the problem I'm trying to solve. Are there some departments which are biased on rating? Are there some departments which are biased on rating? Yes, we can use slices. So what I can do is, because these are absolute numbers, I will convert them into percentages to see whether on percentages there are some department. Absolutely, Janvi, we can put them into percentages. Very well said. We can put them in percentages. So what I'm going to do is I will just open up another table and convert them into percentages. So just give me a second. We will just put them into percentage. What I will do is I will put a percentage to row total. So I will check how's the distribution with respect to their department. Yeah. So I just put them into percentages and let me just clean it up, make it more legible. Okay. So now I put them into percentages. Percentage to row total. Now this is the distribution by each department. Now you will see that there is a bit of a variation. So I think the lower thing is not correct. Let me just correct this as well. That is correct. Now you will see level 1 at the organization level, the overall people who are there in that rating is 11%, level 2 20%, level 3 40%, level 4 19%, and level 5 9%. Bang on. You know, most of the HR guys will say it's a beautiful bell curve for the organization, thankfully. Yeah, we finally managed a great bell curve, whether the distribution is just right. Yeah, it is. But let's look at a little closer. Are there some exceptions looking here? Can you find some exceptions? You will see there's 3% here where the organization average is 11% at level 1. Some department has given 3. At the same time, you will see, although the level 5 is 9, there are some department who has given 12. There's 63 here against the company average of 41. There is percentage 12 against the company average of 20. You will see 13 against the company average of 19 on level 4. There is even 4% on level 5 against the company average of 9. So all of a sudden you will start seeing that this is not looking, the issue of bias seems to be correct. The rating between departments is looking a little different, isn't it? How many of you actually feel that the bias is really coming out for some department than others? Yeah, Priyanka, are you able to see? Yeah, Vasio is also able to see. But let me ask you a question. Can all departments have exactly the same percentage? Can every department have exactly the same percentage distribution? No, they cannot. You know, it's not practical. Now the big question, yeah, it will vary. It will never be same. Yeah. Now the big question is, how much variation is acceptable, how much variation is statistically not acceptable. And this is one area where you will get stuck on the decision. Let me ask you a question. How much variation is acceptable? Yeah. And most of us will struggle to answer the question. That happens in our day-to-day life also. And that is the reason we will endlessly get lost. Riazul saying 5%, Priyanka is saying 1 to 2%, 5%. How do you identify 5%? 5% of what? That's the next question. 5% of what? % of average. Which average? Because the next question that will come is that some department is having a team strength of 960 and some department is having a team strength of only 33. How the 5% variation will play out? Because even 2 people in the team will result to more than 5%. The variation of even 2 people in the team will result in more than 5%. Let's look at this particular case of human resources. I have only 33 team members. Even 2 people will go beyond 5%. Priyanka is saying the base has to be made same. The weightage has to be equal, is what Priyanka is saying, isn't it? And all of a sudden you will realize, that we will get lost into what I called paralysis of analysis or paralysis by analysis. We will endlessly keep doing analysis without conclusion. Happens? And then we will fall back to our favorite thing. We will fall back to our favorite thing. That is, it feels right or it does not feel right. It feels right or it does not feel right. The right way to do it is, and 5% is right. All the people who gave 5% as an answer is a great answer. Saurabh is saying we can check variance. Variance is a great way to check. How do you check variance in a complex scenarios like this? And this is still, visually we can see this data and it's visually we can still make out something. But sometimes we cannot make out anything from a visual representation of data. 5% is right. All business analytics is done on 5% variance. All business analytics is done on 5% variance. But how will you find 5% variance here? For that, we do chi-square. For that, we will do chi-square test. Let me now show you how do you do a chi-square test. Are you ready? First we will create the same table below this. First, we will create exactly the same table below this. Let me just open this up. We'll create exactly the same table below this table. And now write down the formula. So in the table above, I have total rows and I have total each column. I have total for each column and I have total for each row. I have total for each row and I have total for each column. For each of the cell, now this table that is created is our actual values of distribution. This is called actual distribution, isn't it? Because this is taken from actual data. Now we will create exactly the same table and this is called as expected distribution. What is this called? Expected distribution. Now, how is expected distribution calculated? Expected distribution is for this particular cell, which is sales in level 1. Sales in level 1. Expected distribution will be row total of that cell multiplied by column total of that cell divided by the total population. Row total multiplied by column total divided by total population. Just write that formula. Let me write it here. Row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. For each of the cell, you will have to write row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. Is it clear to everyone? Shall we go ahead and do it? Has everyone written this formula? Row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. And I'm going to send you this Excel sheet onto the chat window right after this so that you can go through it later on also. Yeah, so just focus here. So what we will do, we will say for this particular cell, row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. So let me just put brackets. And let me also freeze few things so that we can use the same formula over and over again. I freeze G column, I freeze row number 9 where the results are there, and let me just freeze the grand total. And we will copy this in all our cells. And I will just make it more easy to read, remove the decimals. So now these are the expected values. We have got expected value for each cell by, what's the formula? Row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. Row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. We got the expected values. And now comes the magic. We will do chi-square test. You know how easy or difficult it is to do chi-square test? It's a function in your Excel sheet for which you could be breaking your heads for weeks and months. There's a simple formula on chi-square test. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Rosie, to everyone. Row total multiplied by column total divided by grand total. Now, chi-square test, the function key is just write chi. You will see a lot of options here. You will see chi-square dot test. You're able to see chi-square dot test in the option. I just click on this chi-square dot test. A bracket will open and it will automatically ask you two questions. It is saying actual range, comma, expected range. It is saying actual range, comma, expected range. So first I select actual range because first it is asking me to select actual range, comma. Then you will see it is asking expected range at the bottom. Then I select expected range. Don't select totals in this scenario. Just select the range of the numbers. Total actual range, comma, expected range. And I close this bracket. And I hit enter. I get a value here. Value is 0.1522. 0.1522. Now, how to read this? Always remember, many of you said variation of 5% acceptable. That is how business analytics work on 95% accuracy. To read this, the formula is very simple. If you see this value, the break-even point is 0.05. You have to read these two values. The chi-square value is 0.15. This is the chi-square value. And break-even value is 0.05. Because you said 5% variance is fine, which means 95% accuracy is good enough. You said 95% accuracy is good enough. Yeah. If you want to find 95% accuracy is good enough, now the null hypothesis will be if this value of chi-square value is less than 0.05. If it is less than 0.05, which means that your bias amongst the department exists. If this value is less, bias exists. If it is more, statistically there is no bias. If it is less, bias exists. If it is more, bias does not exist. Now, whether you want it 95% or 99%, don't put a random number. Don't start putting 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, because analytics work on certain rules. For analytics, you will either go with 95% accuracy, 99% accuracy, 99.99% accuracy, or 90% accuracy. For all business purpose, it is 95% accuracy. Yeah. So if it is less than 0.05, bias does not exist. Bias exists. If it is more, bias does not exist. So in this case, bias exists or bias does not exist on the current distribution. Bias exists or bias does not exist. Just put in the chat box. What's your reading? No bias. Absolutely, Vasi. No bias. No bias because the value is more than 0.05. Yeah. Now, are you clear? Is there any questions? Let me just pause and take any questions. Only with respect to the test. Rest of the questions we will do later on. Only with respect to the test. Any questions? And you can apply it on any categorical variable. Any two categorical variables. What are the two categorical variables here? Departments and performance rating. Both are categorical variables and hence chi-square test can be performed. Himanshu, your question is, how does this function work? Using how to, you want to understand chi-square test in detail. That's what your question is, Himanshu?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh, so that's a 2-hour exercise. So,
that's a 2-hour exercise.
So that's how chi-square, so basically it works on something called as chi-score. So we are not getting into detail, but I'll just give you a little overview. So it is a element of two different things, which is called as chi-score. Chi-score is basically, I don't want to confuse the group, so I'll just give you a quick glimpse. Himanshu, chi-score is basically your absolute variance from your expected score. That's called as chi-score, which is how much you are varying from your expected score, and something called as degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom basically is how many categories in the categorical variable you're dealing with. For example, 7 departments and 5 ratings. So that is called as degrees of freedom. From there, chi-square distribution is calculated. Something called as chi distribution. And from chi distribution, chi test is calculated. This is called as p-value, probability value of chi. But just to make your life easy, in Excel, there is a shortcut available called as chi-square test, and that's the reason I was discussing that. In Excel, so either you can take a long route or you can take a shortcut. And because chi-square test short formula is available in Excel, you can just do it. But if you want to learn more in detail, happy to engage with you on a one-on-one. But it's a 2-hour exercise to understand what is chi-score, what is degrees of freedom, and what's the distribution of chi to get the chi test. All right, how to calculate chi-square is what Nisha is asking. Nisha, does it answer your question? You can do it either through these 3 things that I have told you, or you can use a shortcut that I did, which is called as chi-square test. Both will take you to the same answer. Both will take you to the same answer. Any other question, friends? All right, so let me just try to manipulate this data and see whether this chi-square test fails the bias test or not.
Sorry, Rahul, one more question.
Yes,
just also wanted to know how do we came to the conclusion that we need to do a chi-square test?
Oh, good question. I think that's a great question. In which scenarios do you use chi-square test? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great question. Chi-square test needs specific conditions. The condition is if you are dealing with 2 categorical variables, then that is a case for chi-square test. Say, for example, the categorical variables that you are using from a bias point of view is departments. That's a 1 categorical variable. And other categorical variable is performance rating. If you're dealing with two categorical variable and trying to evaluate bias, then the chi-square test is to be performed. Does it answer your question, Himanshu?
So basically, its main function is around the to calculate the bias, right?
It calculates the relationship between two categorical variables. The right answer to that is not bias. Bias is one scenario, but chi-square test can be used to evaluate relationships. Say, for example, most of you understand correlations, right? Yeah. Correlation is used when you're trying to find relationship between two numerical variables. Say, for example, humidity versus rainfall. Okay. Number of uh, COVID tests and the positive rate. Those are correlations because those are on numerical data. But when you're dealing with two categorical data, it is a categorical version of correlation, simply put. Yeah. Okay. So I think just extending Himanshu's questions, and this lot of time people ask me this question. The study of analytics is actually deciding what is the right test in which situation. It is like a doctor. When you are not well, a skill of a doctor is to identify what test you should undergo. Many a times doctor does not know how to perform those tests, isn't it? That is a job of a lab technician or pathologist, that how to perform those tests, right? But a skill of a doctor is to identify what is the right test in this situation. Same is the difference between business analytics and data science. A role of an analyst is to find out what is the right test in this situation. And role of a data scientist is to perform those tests. But in a medical field, those are completely different fields. But in analytics, one person can learn both the skills together. You can be analyst and data scientist together. Say, for example, what test to perform, chi-square test is the most appropriate test, is what analyst can find out. And data scientists will actually perform the test. So right now I have done both. So one person in business world can do both the things. Yeah. Does it answer your question, Himanshu, and everyone? Does it give you more clarity? Because a lot of people have this confusion. What's the difference between business analytics and data science? And where does one end and the other start? Now let me just take 2 minutes and try to manipulate this data and show you how this test can fail for no bias. So let me just adjust this as finance. I'll just make this person 1 and make this person 3. 5. There are 52 people. Now you will see this score of 0.15 Chi's p-value, 0.15 became 0.11. Let me adjust a little bit more. Let me just make it 0. Let me just make it same 52 people. Now you will see this score has come to 0.07. It is about to fail because as soon as it slips below 0.05, it will say that there is a bias for some department statistically. It is failing the 5% case. Let me just change this to 2. 265. You will see it has failed. It has dropped below 0.05. Yeah. At some stage of variation, it will fail the test to say that there is a bias amongst departments. All departments are not behaving similarly. Is it clear, friends? Yeah. Okay. So before we go on to the next stage, I will drop this Excel sheet and let me just save this and drop it onto so that you can download it and use it at your convenience. Just give me a second, friends, so that is done. Here you go. So you can, okay, this file is not going because it is open. Maybe 1 second. Let me just close this file. Yeah, it's gone now. So you can download it and use it. And now we are, Manisha, you have a question? Manisha Soni has raised hand.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay. A lot of people ask me about HR analytics and what's the future of it. And that's what we are going to discuss now. And let me show you some statistics. Ankita, you have a question? Okay. Let me share some interesting stats with you. And I'll take 5 minutes. And then we have an optional session for people who want to continue the discussion, have some questions with us. I'm also joined by Dr. Aparna, who's the founder of ProTouch, to take your questions if you may have. So let me just share another very interesting piece of stats with you, because a lot of people do ask me that what's the future, and whether we should be considering a program on HR analytics. So let me just spend a couple of minutes on this. So I'll show you 3-4 pieces of information that will give you a little more clarity. If you have to progress in the field of HR, it is not a question of if, but when you should learn this skill, because this will be required, sooner than later. This is an IBM Global CEO study where the CEOs around the world were asked, what do they attribute as the single biggest factor that contribute to sustainable economic value? And a whopping 71% of them has called out human capital as the biggest factor that is going to contribute to sustainable economic value. What does it indicate? It means, and many organizations are already doing it, that it is no more brand. A lot of people think that brand decides company's value. Some people think technology. A lot of people feel assets. A lot of people feel pricing and revenue. A lot of people feel innovation. All that has dropped below. A lot of CEOs now feel that human capital is going to be the biggest factor that's going to drive sustainable economic value, which means, and that's the reason a lot of organization has stopped calling it as an employee and they call it talent. They don't call it recruitment, but they call it talent acquisition, because it is no more about manpower. It is about the talent. And organizations' capability to attract and retain great talent will differentiate their organization versus others, which means that a lot of organizational strategies are going to revolve around people strategy. No more brand strategy, no more technology, no more innovation. But first, people strategy will be formed, and there around people strategy, organization strategies will be formed. I've been working with a lot of CEOs who have already started doing it. First they build what kind of talent they need, how they're going to manage the talent, and that is how they build their organization strategy. This is PricewaterhouseCoopers 15th annual global CEO survey, where CEOs around the world were asked about what do they feel is the gap between, in HR department to specific, what do they feel the gap in the information available and information desired? And they feel that there is currently 80% gap in what information is required and what information they have, which clearly a case for need of lot more HR resources having the understanding of analytics. And this will, answer all of them. This is Harvard Business Review study on great leaders, what they feel is the biggest obstacle to achieve better use of data, matrices, and analysis in the field of data. And you will see here, right at the second position, 47% of them feel lack of analytical acumen or skills amongst HR professionals. And there are some great stories of people who have done analytics and able to accelerate their career big time. I don't know whether Neha is still there on the group as we are talking. Neha Agrawal, are you still there? I don't know whether she's there or left. Neha called me today, and Neha was referred by Taranum, who's our ex HR analytics batch pass out. Taranum lives in Hyderabad and she has a great story. She signed up for the program and she was only 1 month into the program. And she lost her job in the last pandemic, and luckily, she signed up for the program, and luckily she got a interview call from one of the organization in Hyderabad. And when she went for the interview, and during the conversation, she just mentioned that I am doing HR analytics program with ProTouch. You know what they said? If you want to take 2 months off, you can take it, but complete that program, because we were dying to find a person in HR who understand analytics. Because we can get a lot of data scientists from outside. But we want someone with a domain knowledge, and that is what companies are dying for. They want some HR person who understands HR and comes with analytical capabilities. And that is the future, friends. I was speaking to a few CEOs in one of the CEO roundtable, and they said, over the next 5 years, analytics is not going to be an optional, but a mandatory skill for HR professionals. Not optional, but mandatory. And with that encouragement, we have in fact launched a new program called Analytics for Managers, Business Analytics for Managers. And that is specifically designed for managers across functions to participate and hone their analytical skills. On that note, friends, I come to end of what I had to share today. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. And I will also, as promised, share one gift with you.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, as we get to know that not only HR analytics, but AI also getting involved in HR big time. So how we manage go from HR analytics to AI as well?
Good question. I think it's a great question. I don't think so I will have a time to explain that in detail, but let me give you some overview. Saurabh, just 1 second. I think your mic has a problem. I'm just putting on mute. Sorry. Analytics is about making a decision, okay, by looking at facts. Now, what is AI? Now, before we understand artificial intelligence, let's understand what is intelligence. What's intelligence, friends? Any thoughts? What's intelligence?
Ability to understand.
Ability to understand, absolutely.
And solve a
personally make decision.
What is intelligence?
Ability to acquire and apply the knowledge.
Absolutely. Ability to apply the knowledge. And, we say human beings are intelligent. What makes us more intelligent? Because human being is able to apply the knowledge better than others, better than machines, to be precise. Reason being, human being can see, observe, sense, touch, feel, and hence use all of that along with knowledge in terms of its application, and that is what we call as intelligence. Okay? Whenever you use all this in the area of HR, along with analytics, that becomes AI. A lot of people are doing a lot of work in the field of AI in HR, especially in talent acquisition. A lot of work is happening. There are some organizations which are taking the entire interview through machines now. Because they understand that machines are better to remove bias. So they are, but intuition has its own value. I strongly feel, because it's all about making a right decision, and intuition has its own value. Your gut feeling has a great. How many times it has happened that you've made a decision on your gut and it worked? And if you go into deeper science of intuition, they say it has roots of very high degree of analytics built into it. Okay, any other question, friends? Anything you want to know? Happy to answer. It's an open forum now. How many of you learned something new today? Just put I in the chat box. How many of you learned something new? Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. And as promised, let me share something else also with you. And this is more useful if you are an HR practitioner. A lot of people do ask me, Rahul, what are the matrices that we should measure in HR that can help us give better information, that can help us capture more information in HR? I've just attached a PDF file with you, which has key matrices that can be used in HR. It's a very comprehensive list of key matrices that you can use in HR. You can download it and use it. Dr. Aparna is also with me. If you have any questions related to our programs, want to know. So friends, for everyone, the webinar is over. Now we have an exclusive session. It's not for everyone. It is only for those who want to know about our programs, who want to know about ProTouch more, who want to know about our programs more. I'm also joined by our advisors. So for the rest of you, I say thank you to you. And this is a now exclusive session. We are going to spend another 10 to 15 minutes answering your queries with respect to any of the programs that you may be interested in from ProTouch. Yeah. Yes, Ruchika, I've already attached the Excel sheet in the chat. You can download it. The Excel sheet is already attached. If you have not got it, let me attach it once again. Excel sheet is attached, and in the meantime, friends, you can ask your question. And for others who have come to participate with us, thank you very much. I really enjoyed delivering it to you. So now it's an exclusive session meant only for those who may have some queries related to the program. For others, thank you very much, and we will let you know about our next program, next webinar. Please do join us, and we'll see you around.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Take care.
Thanks, Rahul, for the
All
session.
right. Thank you. And we will continue our session, friends, for those who have questions related to the program.
Yeah. Bye.
So
Vasi
Riazul
has raised his hand. Is there any question, Vasi?
Yes. Hi, Aparna, and hi, Rahul sir. Hope you both are doing good. Okay. So my question is, like, I'm into operations manager and working into operations since a long time. It's mostly 10 years. So just Rahul sir mentioned about analytics for managers. So I just wanted to know about that program.
Yeah, sure. So Basi, we will share the entire details. Analytics for managers is a very interesting program. It's a 30-hour program, of which 18 hours is a live program where we will be covering the entire analytic stage, right from understanding the problem, why this problem happened, what is happening, why this problem is happening, what could be the reasons, what can happen in future, and what are the options in front of us in terms of decision making, which is called as decision optimization. Then if what if scenarios, that if we take this decision, what are the likely outcome? If we take that decision, what are the likely outcome? Then we go ahead and in the artificial environment, measure those decisions. Because what happens is the only way to test in our normal life is to go in the real world and test it. So we test it in the artificial environment and optimize our results. So that is what we are going to cover in that program. So it is going to be 6 live sessions of 3 hours each. And will be done either on a weekend or late evenings, so that it it matches the work schedule of working professionals. And it has case studies from operations, marketing, sales, supply chain, finance. So all managers can participate in that.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Divya.
Actually, what will be the JD of HR analyst?
JD of HR analyst. Good question. I think that is one question there a lot of people have confusion about. Okay. Now when you do any analytics program, there are 2 options. You can take 2 career paths. There is a career path, and it all depends where you are in your career at this stage. If the 2 routes you can take. You can use analytics as a career. You can use analytics as a skill to enhance your career. Okay. So suppose
I'm into payroll. Will this HR analytics helpful for me?
Absolutely, yes. I will have 2 questions, Divya, to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Do you have domain knowledge of HR? Do you understand HR comprehensively?
Yes.
Okay. Which means either you have done MBA in HR, or you have worked as a HR journalist. Which one of these 2 are applicable to you?
I'm actually a graduate of MSW. I'm working in an organization in a payroll.
Fantastic. So so you can do it. So everyone can do it. It is more useful if you have a comprehensive practical knowledge of HR processes.
Okay.
So for that, I would recommend you to do a HR journalist program. I think we have discussed, I had a short discussion with you in past, isn't it?
No, sir.
Okay, maybe someone else who's from a, social welfare background. So I would first strongly recommend to do a HR journalist program. Get a comprehensive practical knowledge of HR processes.
Okay.
Then do an analytics program, or do it together. Either do it sequentially or do parallelly. That choice is yours. But it always works best if you have a good knowledge of HR processes. If you're confident that you have knowledge of HR processes, which means you understand payroll, you understand performance management, you understand learning and development, you understand policies and procedures, you understand talent acquisition. If you understand processes, great, you can jump onto it. You may not be an expert, but you have to understand those processes so that you are able to relate to the cases that are getting discussed in analytics.
Okay.
Because if you are solving any problem, you should first know why those problems happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But happy to have a one-on-one discussion. Are you discussing with anyone in ProTouch? Have you been interacting with anyone in ProTouch already?
Yes, sir. I'm discussing with Mr. Mohit.
Mohit, fine, great. So if you want, he can arrange a one-on-one call with me so that we can discuss more in detail your case, because everyone's career is different. And at ProTouch, we give immense value that what works for you is what we have to discuss first.
Yes, sir. So yes, I would like to discuss with you as well.
Sure. Tomorrow or day after, Mohit can schedule a call with you.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Any other questions, friends? Riazul, how are you doing? I think you have been in touch with Preeti, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. Did you find this webinar useful?
Yeah, very much useful for me. Basically, I'm working in a financing company in the role of HR operations manager. I really want to do the course of HR analytics, and I'm in touch with Ms. Preeti, and She's sending me all the related brochures for this, and just struggling to in one point to make the payments for that course actually.
I know. She told me, but I think she is requested. I think Fridays you're off. We can connect online and try to solve that problem. But don't worry,
Yes.
your fees will come. Your seat is secured. Don't worry, we have blocked your seat. She has already blocked
Thank you
your
so much.
seat.
Thank you so
Don't
much.
worry, we will. We trust you. Your fees will come. We'll solve that. Don't worry.
Okay.
Welcome to the batch.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, sir, actually, I'm looking after 3 units, compensation and benefit, HR administration, and sales governance. So sales governance is basically doing the calculations and the commissions, how to commissions for the sales forces. So how it can be useful if I go through this session? Because
very useful. You are handling, you said, sales governance,
yes,
operations, and performance, is it?
Performance management and CNB, compensation and benefit.
Compensation. See, compensation benefits, and I can give you examples on all 3 where you can use it. In compensations and benefit, you have to evaluate various variables while deciding compensation. You have to look at past performance. You have to, depending whether you're designing compensation for existing employees or new employees. Let's take a case of existing employees. You have to look at past performance. You have to look at future potential, and you have to look at criticality of the role, and many more matrices. So the reason we don't add more matrices in our evaluation or in our decision making, because we feel it will become too complicated for us to make a decision. Okay, but in fact, it results in better decision making if you are able to add as many variables as you want. If you feel criticality of the role, need of this skill in future, how likely this person, what is the attrition risk of this employee? There's so many variables that goes into deciding the compensation. Correct? Now, all this, you can make a better decision if you use analytics from a compensation point of view. Same thing can be applied for deciding the compensations and benefit for new hires. Now, it can also be added with motivations of each employee. I may value more salary, which means cash. Some other employee may value more benefits. Again, and that's the reason this function is called as comp and ben, compensations and benefits. It is not or. It is called compensation and benefits, because employee also look at it together. Okay, and how to use it? You can evaluate from that point of view. Now coming to sales governance, when you're looking at performance, when you're looking at performance criteria, bias, are the 2 groups behaving similarly? Are each month different or similar? All this can be evaluated through analytics, and I'd be happy to share that in our program, these cases are very well covered. So one of the endeavor of our program is, when you go back to your workplace, you should be able to solve most of the scenarios, and these scenarios would have somewhere got captured in the program itself. So you will be able to relate to them as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Renault Franklin, where are you from?
I'm from Khargone, nearby.
Sorry?
I'm from Khargone, nearby Indore city.
Oh, hi. Did you find this session useful?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for us?
So as per now, no.
Okay, thank you. All right, Sheetal, Rashmi, how about you? Sai Krishna?
I think Deepa has one question.
Okay.
We can
Deepa,
take that question.
Sure.
Current
organization, yeah, I'm just reading that. Sir, in my current organization, my management asked me to have monthly business review. Great. Can you suggest me, will help me to make reporting? Okay, good question. I don't have a one-line answer for Deepa. So it will need a longer discussion, but I can help you. I can suggest you at least some of the reports that you can look at.
Yeah, actually, sir, like I'm working as a HR executive in my current organization, and they are asking me to have a monthly review. So I have no background of math analytics like this, but I want to learn this thing. So how can it help me? I just need some brief points about. So I can enroll
Good.
in courses, and even I also enrolled the courses. Like I took the last classes about the EPF and ECS you taught us.
Wow.
So I just want to be like very good hands on these things as well.
Sure, sure. So Deepa, one is reporting. So reporting always, I will just give you a few tips to begin with, and you can build on that thought. And if you want more suggestions, you can connect with me later. Start from your organization's objective. What is your organization's objective? Then come to what is the management's objective. Then come to what is the department's objective. And then try to create a report that fulfill these objectives. Many a times what we do is we do the reverse. We start making a report that what information is available, and from that information, what reports can be created. No, that's the wrong way to do it. First, see what is the objective and then build a report. Say, suppose your objective is profitability, then build the report that leads towards profitability. If your objective is, may I ask, Deepa, for which department you are wanting to make the report?
Basically, sir, my company I work in the IT firm, so we have a different department. So basically, I'm looking for the like in technical department.
Technical
So
department.
what are the projects, how they are delay, and what are the like ratings and all these things.
Go to the CEO and ask, what do you expect from technical department? Go to the CTO and say, what do you expect from this department? That will give you great insights to how do you begin the reporting, what kind of reports you should make, bounce it off to you, because see, you are not a domain expert. You are not a technical person. You're not from a technical background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you will, and this is where your business partnering skills will come into play.
Yeah.
Do business partnering and understand from them that what do you expect, and then create a report and then go back to them and do the validation of those reports.
Okay. So are these topics are covered in the like program
Yes,
we are having?
yes, it is covered.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any last question? It's 8:30. Otherwise, it's time to sign off.
I think we can sign off, Rahul.
All right, friends, on that note, we come to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for staying till the end. I thoroughly enjoyed putting it together and discussing with you. I'm sure that you found it useful, and we will see you again in our next webinar over next 1 or 2 weeks. All right, thank you everyone. Bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe. Stay at home and take good care of yourself and your family. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.